Well, to quote Biffy Clyro, it's just another manic Monday, Jack.
It certainly is. Tom, I've had a very relaxing Monday so far.
Yeah, you certainly have.
Woke up very early, right? So I've just had the cricket on in the background as I've been working away. And honestly, there's nothing better than just sticking on a bit of Test Match Special on Radio 5 Live and listening to what's going on in Sri Lanka. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Because, Tom, not only do they, I'm quite passionate about this, not only do they say what happens with the bowling and the batting and whatnot, but because there's a lot of stopping and starting in cricket, they'll also just talk about like what they had for breakfast or what they had for or what they had for tea last night. But because cricket's got quite a lot of upper class people in it, you've got like two old batsmen going like, how was the venison last night? Oh, the venison was one. That's brilliant.
This sounds like a lovely day.
Very good stuff.
We should start having nonsensical rambles before we talk about wrestling news rather than just diving straight into it like we normally do.
Yes,
we should consider that. Anyway,
one day we will.
One day I think we should try just having a nice long ramble before we really get to the wrestling news, because I don't think anyone's going to be annoyed by that at all. No way. Here is your wrestling news. But first, I'm kidding. Here's your wrestling news. Could CM Punk be returning for WWE Backstage? AEW Revolution 2021 has been rescheduled, and a big title match is set for tonight's episode of Raw. We'll talk about it in a bit. Look in my eyes, what do you see? Punk rumours, tee-hee-hee. So, CM Punk in the conversation as we head towards the Royal Rumble. What's going on, Jack?
So, CM Punk, right, has responded to a tweet where basically somebody said, at least I have COVID at the same time that CM Punk does. Hopefully that person's fine, by the way, obviously. They're called Tom on Twitter, Toms_customs. CM Punk replied saying, I do not have COVID. I'm quarantining as a mandatory safety guideline for a job. Now that seems to imply that whatever he's quarantining for would involve contact with other people, and would seem to also imply that it's quite soon. Because when people are quarantining, it's usually for, about 10 days to 2 weeks, sort of, around that sort of time. And
so what number will CM Punk be in the Rumble, do you think, then? I think he'll be number one, blow the place up, eliminate everyone. I think it'd be brilliant.
So hold your horses right there, because yes, obviously this has set the rumour mill ablaze, because it's the Royal Rumble soon, and Punk's quarantining for some sort of job that he's got coming up. But we were talking about this, and we think that maybe a slightly more educated or a more calm guess would be that he could potentially be returning for WWE Backstage, because of course, Tom, that's making its return.
It is indeed, yeah. And he was a big part of WWE Backstage, him and Renee and Booker T and Paige. He would turn up every so often, and it would always be a little sort of rating spike when Punk would get there, and he'd no doubt say something that was, a little bit edgy. And it wouldn't shock me if, as the show is returning, so would CM Punk. CM Punk, not a WWE employee. He's a Fox employee, the same as Renee Paquette. So there would be the opportunity for him to do that. And I think if this is anything to do with the wrestling world, it's all jokes aside, it is going to be Punk entering number one at the Royal Rumble.
Right.
And going all the way through to the end.
The problem is, now that we've laughed at that, this will be the 1 year that he actually does. Now that we've said he probably won't. Now
there probably are some really good odds on CM Punk winning the Rumble.
I'll have a live check right now. Come on,
a live check
quickly,
and
Jack. Quickly.
But yeah, so this will start, no doubt, a lot of rumours and innuendo about CM Punk possibly making a return. Like as we say, more than likely, it's going to be part of Backstage.
For CM Punk to win the Royal Rumble.
Come on then.
80-1. Not as long as you might think.
There you go.
It's according to Sky Bet anyway.
There you go. Bet responsibly. Always read the label. And onwards you go. Safety first. So CM Punk.
Don't bet on wrestling, and certainly don't bet on CM Punk to win the Royal Rumble.
If you're going to bet on anything this weekend, bet on yourself. I believe in you. Bet on yourself. Talking of wrestling events, one has been pushed back from February into the following month. What's going on with AEW Revolution, Jack?
Yes, it has been pushed back very slightly. Not like a massive amount. 1 week, I believe, or thereabouts. Because originally it was scheduled for Saturday, February 27th, obviously in Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. But AEW didn't want to go head-to-head with the next big fight for Canelo Alvarez, the boxer, one of the biggest boxers in the world at the moment, and has been for the past few years. And his next fight on pay-per-view appears to be on that night as well. So, instead, March 6th was then considered, because you might be thinking, why have they pushed it back from a Saturday to the next weekend on a Sunday rather than just exactly 1 week ahead on the Saturday, if that makes sense. Well, the following Saturday is a UFC event, UFC 259. So they want to avoid the boxing, avoid the UFC, and to do that, they've got to go 1 week and a day ahead. So from Saturday 27th of February to Sunday the 7th of March.
This is going to be the show that sees the return to action, whether it's in-ring or otherwise, of Sting teaming with Darby Allin to face Team Taz in a street fight. And I guess that they want as few possible distractions as possible. And all the focus on whatever day Revolution falls on to be on the return of Sting. So I do get that.
I should point out as well that nothing official has yet been announced by the company. This was just according to Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio. So as of yet, there is no official date for AEW Revolution as this video is being recorded. But it's expected, at least, that they will announce that it should be set for Sunday, March the 7th, yes.
We were also expecting to see AEW leave Daly's place soon and head to sunnier climes in Miami. What's the latest with that, Jack?
Yeah, there's been conflicting reports about that. Bodyslam.net originally reported that AEW was planning to move to Miami for the month of February, as you mentioned, for sunnier climes, especially in the winter months. Oh, I pity those poor Jacksonville folk with their freezing cold temperatures and so on, as England is just buried under a mountain of snow. But it turns out that apparently they later reported on January 16th that AEW had changed their minds. Now PW Insider have stepped in and have reported that apparently there was never an official plan to leave. I'll read what PW Insider have said. They've said, in regards to emails about persistent rumours of Dynamite leaving Daly's place in Jacksonville, that is not happening anytime in the near future, and there was never any official plan to leave. The issue with potentially leaving while the pandemic continues to rage is that the company would be at the mercy of whatever venue and local government they are dealing with, while in Jacksonville, Tony Khan and the Khan family have the run of Daly's place and a great relationship with the city because, of course, the Khan family own the local NFL team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. PW Insider go on and say, so that provides a lot of advantages they may not have if they shifted somewhere else, even if that was just to be temporary.
So putting off the idea of expanding further out, and I get why, because you know what, you're in control of all the elements at Daly's place, aren't you? So you're not going to want to risk changes to the show and the format and the presentation if you expand away from there. WWE making a more global expansion this week as they get set to expand further into India. The WWE Superstar Spectacle going down tomorrow. And Triple H has had some words with the Hindu, which we'll get to in a second. But what's the latest on the event from PW Insider, Jack?
They've said that there'll be a number of NXT talent from India who are having their first ever real wrestling match as part of the broadcast. That's a lot of pressure straight away. That's a lot of pressure. And we are told, this is PW Insider are told, that by and large those working on the show were really happy with how well they all did under such unique circumstances. Oh, the tapings! It's happened. Mm-hmm. It's been taped. That slipped my mind totally as I read that sentence. The lineup was specifically created, apparently, to present NXT Indian talent in the strongest light possible. And we will, I'm assuming, Tom, you'll be taking a look at the lineup in a few moments' time.
Well,
but also, what was Triple H saying there with the Hindu?
So, Triple H, speaking to the Hindu, said, with regards to the plans to expand into India, he says, quote, the intent and desire is to come to India and recruit enough athletes. Certainly there is a desire amongst Indian people for us to be on the ground as well. At some point, we would love to have a performance centre or more than one centre in India. Have athletes train there and produce localised WWE content. When you see talent from your region succeed locally to get to the bigger stages and watch their careers develop, that is the goal. Because the only thing bigger than WWE in India is cricket.
Love
Jack's favourite. That's something to be said. So Triple H is very, very adamant that whilst we are getting a show out of the Thunderdome, the plan is, of course, to run an Indian expansion in India. Otherwise, what's the point? But I think they were keen to get the ball rolling on this this year. Obviously, it's a very special week in the Indian calendar, and they're keen to reflect that, as they will with this show that airs tomorrow. So no spoilers here. We don't want to spoil the event for you, but we will give you the card. But we won't tell you who wins what.
I'm so excited for this card. I don't even know who wins what. I didn't even know this was already taped.
Yeah, it got taped on last Tuesday, nice. I do believe. But so there's an interesting one in the first match we're going to talk about here. because it kind of goes against some booking that's been happening on SmackDown as of late. So we have an 8-man tag with Rey Mysterio, Ricochet, Dillashaw Shanky, and Giant Zangier taking on Dolph Ziggler, King Corbin, Cesaro, and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, that's weird because the way that Nakamura has been presented on SmackDown recently has been almost as if he is, if not about to become a babyface, then just already a babyface. Because he obviously put in that really brave performance, that really battling performance in the Gauntlet match, won the respect of Daniel Bryan backstage, they shook hands, Cesaro got annoyed at that because he was like, you're trying to turn my tag partner good. And it seemed for all the world like Nakamura was about to actually turn. I don't think this rules out a Nakamura turn though. I feel like this match he could always walk out of it. There could be some sort of continuing friction between himself and the other heels on the SmackDown roster. And also, I feel like he's probably not going to win when he's aligned with those guys because look who's on the other team against him. Not Rey Mysterio and Ricochet, but the Great Khali's trainees. They are big lads. And I'm just scared for Shinsuke, and I hope he's all right because we need him. We need him to turn face in time for Mania.
AJ Styles versus Jeet Rama on the cards. Jeet is another standout that I think there's high hopes for him within NXT India. So, and a matchup against AJ Styles is
a singles match as well.
Yeah, that's a big setup for them. A tag team action: Charlotte Flair and Serena Sandhu teaming up to face Bayley and Natalia, and a female standout from the division.
She's teaming with Charlotte. She's got a win in the bag. There we go.
Intrigued by this one, Finn Balor, the NXT champion, facing Guru Raj. Don't know if this is an NXT championship match or not, but a great showcase opportunity for Guru Raj here against Balor.
Tom, you'll find out if it's a title match when you tune into NXT this Wednesday and you see Guru come out hoisting the belt aloft. Oh. Everyone's like, what's happened here, Guru? He's like, oh, lads.
I love that to be his promo. Oh, lads.
You'll never believe what happened
would you Adam and Eve
at the spectacle down the road.
And how about this for a main event? Jinder Mahal and the Bollywood Boys. Jinder's got himself some mates. He's going up against his old 3MB mate, Drew McIntyre, who's teaming up with Indu Sher.
Yes, indeed. That's. I mean, I'm very intrigued, and I can't wait to see what happens and to give it a watch. I'm especially excited to see what those two guys do in those singles matches against Balor and Styles as well.
So if you want to watch it, it's airing Tuesday morning, 9:30 Eastern time in the States. That's 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time. I think in the UK, it's about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, hey! I thought you were going to say in the morning. I got my time zones all mixed up.
Yeah, it is 2:30 in the afternoon.
Nice.
That works for us. We're fine. We're fine with that. It is, of course, Republic Day in India tomorrow, hence why there's a push to get this done here. Hey, we'll reflect on it tomorrow. Moving on to tonight, however, Monday Night Raw, finally, a championship match set to go down on this evening show. I think this might be one that we could possibly see something big take place here.
Possibly a title change, Tom. Is that what you're potentially implying? Well, it could be anything. There could be fire or anything. Because given who's involved, it's going to be Asuka taking on Alexa Bliss. Obviously, Bliss beat Asuka last week on Raw, but that was a non-title match, and she beat her with magic and trickery and a costume change. And this week, she's getting another shot. This time for the Raw Women's Championship. Also, of course, it's the go-home show for the Rumble, and Alexa has declared herself for the Royal Rumble. So I don't know if that telegraphs this a little bit. Does that mean that Asuka's likely to maybe retain? Or does that just mean that Alexa's gonna... Was it a red herring? Is it going to throw us off the scent is what I'm saying?
Well, it's just because the way they've been positioning Alexa Bliss lately and the angle they did last week on Raw, which made Asuka just look pretty weak. You can't help but feel they might make the decision to hotshot the belt onto Alexa Bliss tonight. Not that I agree with it. I don't like it, but I'm going to have to go along with it. I feel like that may happen. Also tonight, we've got a gauntlet match. Hurt Business facing off against Riddle. If Riddle can beat all the Hurt Business, he gets a shot at Big Bobby's US belt. And Drew and Goldberg are going to square up ahead of the Royal Rumble. So.
Do you know what? Ever since that news broke, the news broke that it seems like Goldberg's going to be appearing at WrestleMania. It's been panic stations in certain sections of the Cultaholic chat because Ross Tweddle is now terrified that Goldberg's going to beat Drew and carry that belt into WrestleMania. And since he said that, I'm now increasingly worried as well.
You know how back at there was a 9 pitches video that you guys did, and Sam was in it. and Sam predicted that. I think it might have even been maybe against the Fiend. When Sam predicted, the Fiend is just going to get mowed down by Goldberg, and we all went, "No, don't."
Oh, I remember it. I remember it well. Yeah.
Can we keep Sam Driver off the 9 pitches video this year?
Yeah.
I mean, it just does all good.
Another possibility is that maybe they're going to finally do the match they wanted last year at Mania with Goldberg versus Roman. In which case, Goldberg wouldn't beat Drew. You'd assume he'd just win. He'd just win the Rumble instead, which would be brilliant.
What a week we are gearing up for. Stay safe. More news later. Love you. Bye.